Welcome, welcome. This is Dr. William Rohimbox Morrison the fourth. Once again, I'm so glad to be in touch, hanging out with you all today. And of course, I want to talk about one of my favorite topics, and it's educational sports psychology. And once again, this is not therapy of any way, shape, or form. And I'm not diagnosing or treating any disease. That is the disclaimer. It is not about that at all. If you need any of those areas of expertise, you need to seek the appropriate authorities for that. But today we're going to talk about educational sports psychology. And it's for educational purposes, I think it's very helpful because I found the area of educational sports psychology is it is actually relevant in everyday life, getting the competitive edge in things and subjects and various goals. So that's why the topic of this podcast is the psychology of peak performance, mindset strategies for athletes. And of course, this is for educational purposes only. And this is not therapy or medical treatment of any way, shape, or form. So I just want to once again introduce myself once again. I'm Dr. William Rohimbox Morrison IV, internal medicine physician, MD. I'm a clinical psychologist, PSYD, life coach, and PhD in nutritional biochemistry. So, first of all, I just want to welcome you to my channel, my life coach channel, Mind Body Connection. And the podcast that we're going to explore today explores how science, psychology, and motivation intersect to bring out your best self. Okay, so this is very important and fascinating, mentally and physically. So today's episode will focus on the psychology of peak performance, understanding how mindset, focus, and emotional balance shape athletic success. And whether you're a professional athlete, a weekend competitor, or just someone who wants to perform, at your personal best, this episode will give you the practical educational insights on how to train your mind along with your body. So we're going to have a great time today. So once again, I like to start off with explaining that this podcast is going to have several segments in it. And the first segment, we're going to call it segment number one, is the athlete's mindset. So every sport requires a skill, strength, and a strategy. But what separates the good from the great often lies what's between your ears. And we know what's between your ears, it's your mind. So your mind is all powerful. So the mindset of an athlete determines how they respond to pressure, setbacks, and as well as victory. So it's important to know that research in sports psychology has shown that mental training, such as when we do self visualization, self talk, and emotional regulation, all that can help improve performance, believe it or not, just as much as physical training. Elite athletes, I won't say they have a secret, but they don't go around talking about it too much. But the mindset of an athlete determines how they respond to pressure. So that's very important to keep in mind. And as we know, in elite athletes, the mind and body operate in harmony like a well-oiled machine. And they know how to stay calm under stress. They know how to just chill out, relax, or chillax, take it easy, recover from errors, and refocus quickly. That ability isn't magic. It's not. No one picks up a magic wand and says, here, this is how you're going to handle this. No, it's learned. It's learned. They are taught this. For example, Michael Jordan once said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career, and that's why I succeed. That's not confidence, that's psychological resilience. So now we're moving on to my next segment, and we'll just call it segment two, the power of visualization. Now you can use visualization in areas outside of sports during times when you feel stressed out. So, visualization or mental rehearsal, what this does is it primes your brain for performance. The brain doesn't clearly distinguish between vividly imagined movements and actual movement. When you mentally practice a skill, okay, you strengthen the same neural pathways that we use in real action. Golfers rehearse putts, sprinters imagine the starting gun, boxers visualize footwork and rhythm. So it's very important to visualize what you're about to do before you do it. To use visualization effectively, you must find a quiet place. Okay, you can't have a lot of distraction, can't have the TV on. You have to picture your sport in a vivid detail. The sound, the environment, your breathing, your movement. And you end the visualization with success, your best outcome. You have to know that you are a winner. You are going to succeed. And you are great. With repetition, this improves confidence and also it improves timing as well as consistency. So now I'm going to move on to segment 3, and it's about managing stress and arousal. Okay, in sports psychology, all right, there is something called the inverted U theory. Now, I'm going to go back to my favorite term. If you looked at my videos, if you looked at all my podcasts, here's my famous phrase, what's up with that? Okay, I'm going to say it again. In sports psychology, there is something that we refer to as the inverted U theory. A moderate level of stress or arousal can boost performance, but too much or too little can hurt it. What do I mean by that? So, learning to regulate that energy is key. Breathing exercises, mindfulness, and controlled self-talk can lower physiological arousal and increase focus. I want you to try this before competitions, okay? Inhale slowly for 4 counts. Hold for 2 counts and exhale for 6. And try this 4 to 5 times, okay? You'll notice your heart rate will stabilize and you will actually be able to focus and you will focus and you'll be a little more sharper. Of course, if you have any medical conditions or anything like that, you need to check with your doctor before you do these types of exercises. But if you're a healthy person and you don't have any issues going on, this is something that helps greatly. So segment 4, building mental resilience. So this is very important. You know, resilience. You look at a building, it's resilient, it's strong. It can withstand the wind, it can withstand the rain. So we need to be resilient. So resilience in an athlete means bouncing back from a loss or an injury with purpose, not discouragement. So here are the 3 components of that. Reframing instead of, dang, I failed. Okay? We have to reframe it. Think, I learned something I can control next time. Life in general is a learning process. Okay? Also, routine. Having a structural pre-performance routine actually creates psychological stability. And as well as recovery, both mental and physical. If we experience mental recovery and physical recovery, rest, nutrition, reflection, time, you have to reset our nervous system. So, like I said, athletes who build emotional recovery into their training, did you know that they actually outperform those who only push harder? I'm going to say that again. So listen to what I'm saying. Athletes who build emotional recovery, okay, emotional recovery, the mind-body connection, emotional recovery into their training performance, they actually can outperform those who only say, push harder, push harder. You got to get, in other words, listen to me. You got to get your mind right, okay? Got to get your mind right. Now, my next segment, segment 5, motivation and self-belief. I got to just say it. Do you believe in yourself? You got to believe in yourself. in anything that you do, a class, a musical performance, a physical performance, everyday life. Believe in yourself. There's the word believe. Just say that to yourself, believe. That's a powerful word. So, like I said, motivation comes in two forms. Okay, it comes from extrinsic, meaning trophies and recognition and getting contracts and stuff, and intrinsic, which means love of the game, personal mastery, and joy and improvement. So listen, the most enduring performers are driven by the intrinsic motivation. The intrinsic motivation is love of the game, personal mastery, and joy and improvement. Now listen, I'm going to repeat this. Some things you just have to repeat. So remember, the most enduring performers are driven by intrinsic motivation. They're not chasing applause, they're chasing progress. Here's a simple technique. After each practice, name one thing you did well and one small improvement, that you're going to work on tomorrow. This builds long-term momentum without you getting burned out. Okay? Believing in yourself is important. You can't let people bring you down. You can't let people tear you down. Because people who do that, people who get joy out of bringing people down and tearing people down and making people feel small, those people have a very low self-esteem. Okay? And we can't allow that to happen to ourselves. They don't have the right to do that to you. Nobody has the right to bring you down. No one has the right to make you feel small or less of a human being. And we can't give that person or people that power. So I just want to talk about our closing thoughts here, okay? So the psychology of peak performance isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. Okay, when your thoughts, emotions, and body move in the same direction, you actually become more consistent, adaptable, and confident in sports and as well as life. I want you just to think about the word believe. If you look at television, you may see the word believe a lot. Believe is a powerful word. Believe. I just want to thank you today, family. And I want to thank you personally for joining me on this life coach journey that I'm on. Okay, I want this to go all over the world. I want people to feel positive and feel good about themselves. Okay. And if this episode inspired you, please subscribe, share, and just leave a comment about how you feel about today. Okay, next time we're going to discuss discovery of recovery, how rest and nutrition and mindset can accelerate growth. Okay, again, I'm Dr. William Morrison. My full name is Dr. William Rohimbox Morrison IV. I'm reminding you that your greatest strength is the connection between your mind and your body, the mind-body connection, okay? And again, I just want to tell you that this is not therapy. I'm not treating or diagnosing any disease, okay? That's not the purpose of this podcast or any of my channels. It's about education, and it's about you living your best life. And education is power. Education is power. When people try to limit your education, and if people try to limit what you can learn, that's a problem. That's a problem. You have to learn. You have to take it upon yourself to get resources and learn and teach yourself. Learning is power. Education is power. And I just want to thank you again for spending time with me. And whatever you're doing, just make it a wonderful day. And take care of yourselves.